Assalamualaikum, welcome back, my fellow programmers. In this exciting installment of C Programming Force, we will dive into the topic of arrays and string. It is very important topic in programming, so let's see the topic that we are going to cover in today's class. These are the topics for today's class, arrays and string, and these are the topics: declaring an initialization arrays, accessing arrays elements, multidimensional arrays, working with strings and strings functions. So these are the topics for today. So we are going to cover this topic line accordingly. So let's get started by opening our compiler. So here we are going to discuss basically first what are arrays and strings basically. Arrays similar like variables. Just as I said in the data types class in our second lecture, that data types are basically like data types are and variables are like box that store one value, but arrays are like a container that can store many values. Just like the variable, arrays also have the data type and size. In arrays, we can customize the size of the array, but in variable we can't be easily because we can only store one value in our variable, so we can't store more than one value, so that's why we can't. But in array we can store numerous values, that's why we call it a container to store many values. But we can store many values of a same data type. For example, if we make an array of int type, then it will store only integer type values, not float type, or not it will store a character. So this is about array. And basically string. What is string? String is an array of characters. If you want to store, if you want to make an array of character alphabets, it will set a string. So the string is basically the array of characters. So this is the basic idea of arrays and string. What are arrays and string? So let's see their syntax. What is basically the syntax of arrays? We already copied this, so we are going to discuss yes. Declaring an initialize an array of integers. So this is how we can initialize the array of integers. We write here int score. In this box we have to describe the size. It's for this size of array. Here we write the size of array. What if I want to store 5 values? So I will put 5 here, and here we can see that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how we store values in array. This is a single dimensional array. So it can this is a data type of this array, just similar like variable, but there is a little difference that it can store many values at a time, but variable can only hold one value at a time. It can store many values at a time. And here is something different. In variable, what we do, if you want to print if score is a variable, for example, I mean it is score dash variable. Made this variable and we assign the value, for example 10. And when we're going to print it, what happened? Score variable is equal to %d . Yes, we are going to print it in this variable. Yes. So what happened when we are going to print it? If you want to access this value, we simply going to print it because it hold one value. But what happened in the case of array, which holds many values? So in arrays, what happened actually? We can access the values through the index numbers. And if for example it has the value 5, so index number not start from 1, it start from 0. So this is at the 0 index number. It is at 1 index number, it is 2, 3 and 4 index number. If you want to access this this value, then we should write, we should use 0 index number, because this value is placed on 0 index and this value is placed on 1 index. So here we write 0 and 1 index to access these two values. So let's see what result is going to print on our console screen. I predict 98 and 87. So see right. First element is equal to 98 and second is equal to 87. So it is clear now that we can access values in array through index numbers. And remember one thing that is very important. It is very important concept. Note that in the text, number always start from 1. Always start from 0. So index number always start from 0. This is the most important point. So remember this point. If we want to access the first value of an array, so what we do, we use the index number 0. If you want to access the second value of index number, if you want to access the second value of an array, then we are going to use index number 1. So this is the basic concept of basically array. We can make this array of float type, just like the normal variable. It can change data types. Array has just a little different from a variable is that it can hold more than one values at a time, and we access those values through index numbers of array. So basically this is the difference. If we change this float, so we can use this 48.4, 87.2, so let's print back. So will that be very short here, because we don't switch these things. Now we can say that 98.4002 something, 87.119. So here what you write. So this is how it works. Now we are moving towards our next thing. We saw the declaring and initializing of array. Now we are moving toward accessing array elements through loops. In this, to understand this, we are going to use loops. In this way, we can revise our last topic, which is loops in programming. So that is helpful for us. Now we are what we are doing here, we access values of array by using loop. So how we are going to do that? As I said, the index number starts from 0. Always start from 0. So 98 is on 0. So what we do here, we make a loop of according to the index numbers. I is equal to 0, because index number starts from 0. So we put I on 0 and make a condition I less than 5, because here is a value 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here are total values of 5. So we only want this loop to run 5 times to access all these values. And here is an update statement, simple. And here we write a printf statement. And what we do is here it is going to show us the index number, and then show us the value of the array. Like if it write element 0, then show the 98. So it will show us first index number and then show the value that has placed on that index number. Now we are going to see this by pressing F11 to execute our program. Now here we got an answer. Yes. Element 0, 98, element 1, 87. What are these? These are actually an index number that and here we can access these values through loops. So this is something that we use logic. As I discussed in last class, programming is all about logic. It's not about just using a printf score bracket 0. This is not a way to access an elements. You have to want to access elements. We have to be logical. Think logical. You have loops, go through loops. You have to use loops to be efficient. Because at this time we are. I'm just giving you a concept. That's why there is a small loop of 5 values. When you work practically, there is a loops of huge values, even hundred of values. So if you want to access 1 to 10 values or 1 to 99 values, you are going to write printf statement 99 times. No, you are going to use loop. So this is how we access elements with the help of loop. So we cover our 2 topics. Now we are moving towards the multidimensional arrays, working with strings and string functions. First of all, we are going to cover this multidimensional arrays. So let's copy the syntax that we already written here. Multidimensional arrays basically used mostly for matrices like things where we need and draw column, basically for tables. If we want to use tables in our programming, we want to show tables, we want to deal with tables, then we are going to use 2-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, or you can say 2D arrays. So this is actually a 2D array. Here what we are going to do is, the one box is actually, it shows the size of your column, and second one is shows the size of rows. So basically, these are actually number of rows and columns. So here we have 3 rows, 3 columns. The 3 rows, as we can see that, and 3 columns. So here this is a way to declare an 2D array. It can be float here. We can write float here or any other, like int, as it already did it. So this is a way to declare a 2D array. Now how we are going to access this? To access this type of arrays, to access the values of this type of arrays, we have to use a nested loop. What is nested loop? As we discussed a little bit in our last class, loops, nested loops are basically loops inside a loop. There is a loop, and inside this loop there is one more loop. So basically what we are going to do here, this actually shows to the rows, and this loop is for us to deal with columns. So this is the index number of rows, this is the index number of column. If you, for your A's, you can make variable with the rows, and you can write here rows. Then you can write call, and call. So basically, this shows and call. So this is how we are going to access the values. What happened basically here is that matrices on the when the loop starts, it starts with 0. Okay, so here we are. What we are doing here? Yes, now what actually happened here? It started with 0. Now it will. Alright, just a mistake here. So what happened here? It will start from this. 1 second. I just want to confirm this. Yes. So right here. So loops start with 0. Then it checks the condition. Condition is true. It comes under it. And when it comes under it, there is one more loop. So it will going to start it. This loop also. So this loop now this loop is started from call is equal to 0 and the condition is true. So it will come under the brace between the braces of this loop, this nested loop. So here it will be going to execute this statement. What the statement says, a element of row and column is going to print here. Basically what happened here, we are going to access row wise. For example, there we when it here rows is equal to 0 and column is equal to 0, what element is going to print on our console screen? 1. When rows is equal to 0, because we are into this loop and this loop isn't break. When it is break, when this loop breaks, then it will go again. Then it will go again and increase the raw number. Increase the raw number, sorry. We increase the raw number. Increment in raw statement, and then it will check the condition again. But once it comes under in this loop, it has to break this loop by making the condition false. So what happened here? Raw is 0 and column is initially 0. So 0 0 at 0 0 it will print 1. Then 0, the column value updated from 0 to 1. Now 0 1 at 0 1 it will print 2. Then it will update to 2. Then 0 2 it will print 3. And when we become 3, so condition is going to be false and it will break this loop. And then it will increase the raw. When it increase the raw, which now raw become 2. Raw is equal to 1 basically. So index number is start from 0 as we discussed before. So now it is on this raw. Now it will access these elements. Then this loop breaks. Then it will increase the value of raw. Then it will access these elements. So this is how actually two-dimensional array works. And this is how we can access the two-dimensional arrays. Two-dimensional arrays is little a complicated topic because it involves nested loops. It involves matrices like concepts in programming, but these are very good to build our logical mind. So work with them. Be familiar with them. I know if you are a beginner, it will be difficult to use. So first you should start from single dimensional arrays. First practice and hands-on on your single dimension arrays by doing so many practice questions. Then you should move towards 2D or you can say multidimensional arrays. So this is basically the concept of multidimensional arrays and how it works. What is the working behind the multidimensional arrays? And remember, the most important thing is that index number always start from 0. We can write it here. Index number always start from 0. This is the most important thing into dealing with arrays. If you are dealing with arrays, if you want to access the right elements, you have to remember this in mind. And it will index number is actually started with 0, not from 1. Not start your counting with 1. You have to start your counting with 0. It doesn't matter if it is rows or column. It is two-dimensional array or a single dimensional array. Index number always started from 0. So this is actually about multidimensional array, or you can say 2D array. So this is a bit difficult, as I said. So you have to practice. Now we are moving towards our last topic for this video. Working with string and string functions now. Okay. So let's copy the syntax that we written already here. Now we are actually starting moving towards the concept of string. Okay, string. So this is an interesting concept. Yes, it is an interesting concept. So let's start from there. This is a new thing for you, string.x. Basically, what happened here when we are dealing with strings, when we are dealing with strings, so we have to use this library. This is a library just like stdioh. But we can take an example that like if we want to print anything on our console screen, we use printf. As we use that statement so many times in our examples, we use printf to print anything on our console screen. So from there, printf comes. Printf works just because of this library. Because of std.hio library, printf works and print our statement on a console screen. Just like that, this is the library of a string. It has many built-in functions. If you want to know the length of any string, we can just use strlen and then name the string in the brackets, and we got the length of the string. We don't have to use the logical things to calculate the length of a string. We can simply calculate the length of the string by putting this library and use a function that has been built in this library. So now let's start this program from int main. Yeah, as I said before, here in C programming, the string is basically an array of characters. So when the data type is char, it is about and we are dealing with arrays, so you should have to understand that this is a string. This is a string, not an array. So the array of characters is basically a string. So this is a syntax or to declare a string. We have to return in quotation marks what we are going to return in quotation marks. So see here, using strlen to get the length of the string. If you want to get the length of the string, we use this function and simply name the string between these braces, and we got the length. We got the length of this string. So in this program, we are going to see the length of the string by using strlen function, and we extract the length of this string and save this value in the variable called len, and then we are going to simply print this variable on our console screen to check what is the length of this string. So that is very simple. Don't confuse. I will explain it more. Let's see first what is the length of this string. Length of this string is 13. So here one very important thing about string is that, well, remember this thing, the last length of a string is always \o. So this is a last element. Remember this. This is in a string. There is always a last element is this. I knew that this is not show here. It will not show here. But if you want to terminate something, that you have to understand that we can put the condition of this. When, for example, if we want to access the value of this string, so what we are going to do, we simply put an loop, and we have to put some condition on the basis of the length of this string, or we can also use this. So we can say that must not equal to this. For example, if I must not equal to this. So when we write this in a condition in loop, when put this condition on a loop, so whenever this element occurs, the loop is going to be break, and this element is only occur in the last of a string. This is something that is default in programming, that this element is always present in the last of the string. So you have to remember these things. These little things, that index number start from 0 in an array, whatever type of array it is, character type, or we can say string array or any other data type array. The always index number always start with 0, and in a string the last element is always \0. So this is always the last element in every string. So this is about string and class, string and array class. So this is the basic concept of the string and array. So we are going to understand this concept in more depth. This is a basic concept. It's the very basic concept of the string and array basically. So you have to practice more. You have to do the program how to take user input from in our array. How can we insert value from users in our array? We can make another video in which we explain how we are going to take an input from users in an array, single array or multi-dimensional array. So we will make that video, but don't depend on that video, where that was not a part of the course. Basically, this course is about to give you the concept, basic concept, and build the foundation and build your own logical thinking. So you have to research about it by your own and learn these things by your own. We will provide you after some time, because we are not going to make that video in this between this course. We are focusing on main topics basically. So we will make the video for your ears, but you have to research that things and do practice these things by your own. We will make the video to clear that concept also, how to take the input from users and all these things in multi-dimensional array into the in single array or in a string on whatever. So we will make a video, but you have to practice by your own. This is a very important concept. Arrays and strings are very important concept in programming. And remember that our next class is about pointers. That is also very important. Pointers are basically all about addresses. That is very, very, very important. And dynamic memories, all these things. So remember to see that video. We will post that video soon, because that is a very important lecture, and this is also a very important lecture about arrays and strings. So you have to do practice questions. So do practice question about single dimensional arrays, 2D dimensional arrays, and about strings. So this is all about today's class. Now keep learning, keep doing practice, and I will see you soon in next video. Happy coding.